Hey guys, welcome back to the DAHKTUBE, and before we get started, don't forget to like, share, comment in the section on topics you want me to cover, and subscribe. Now today, we'll be starting off with remainder theorem. So the first example we're going to try is find the remainder when the polynomial f of x is equal to 2x cubed minus 4x plus 7 is divided by x plus 2. Now whenever you're dividing and it says a remainder, that means something has to be left whenever you are working it out, meaning it is not a factor of the polynomial f of x. So the first thing you want to do is using the divisor, which is x plus 2, you equate that to 0 and you solve for x. So x is equal to minus 2. Now that you have x is equal to minus 2, you're substituting x everywhere you see into the dividend, which is f of x. So now we say f of minus 2 is equal to 2 minus 2 cubed minus 4 minus 2 plus 7. So minus 2 cubed, that's minus 8. Minus 4 times minus 2, that's plus 8, plus 7. So we have 2 times minus 8, which is minus 16. And 8 plus 7, which is 15. So we have minus 1. That means your remainder is minus 1. So here we have another example. Find the remainder when the polynomial f of x is equal to minus 5x cubed plus 3x squared minus 4x plus 1 is divided by 2x minus 1. So again, using the divisor, we equate that to 0 because we're solving for x. So 2x is equal to 1. That means x is equal to positive a half. So now that we have x is equal to a half, we substitute that in the dividend, which is f of x. So we have f of a half. So anywhere we see x, we're substituting a half. Plus 3 times a half squared minus 4 times a half plus 1. So that's minus 5 times a half cube, which is 1 over 8, plus 3 times a half squared, which is a quarter, minus 4 times a half, which is 2, plus 1. So we have minus 5 times 1 over 8, that's minus 5 over 8, plus 3 times a quarter, that's 3 over 4, minus 2 plus 1, that's minus 1. So minus 5 over 8 plus 3 quarters, that gives you 1 over 8 minus 1, which is equal to minus 7 over 8. And that's the final answer. So your remainder is minus 7 over 8. Okay, so now we're going to do factor theorem. And whenever you divide two numbers and you get 0, that means the divisor is a factor of the dividend. So again, if you want to test if it is a factor, so the first thing you want to do is to equate the divisor to 0 to solve for x. So that means x is equal to positive 2. Now that x is positive 2, anywhere you see x in the dividend, which is f of x, you're going to substitute 2. So f of 2 is equal to 2 cubed plus 2 squared minus times 2 plus 2. 2 cubed, 8, 2 squared, 4, minus 7 times 2, minus 14 plus 2, and that is equal to 0. So that means x minus 2 is a factor of f of x. So let's say you're given this question, use factor theorem to aid in factorizing completely the polynomial f of x is equal to 4x cubed minus 5x squared minus 7x plus 2. Now, if you realize they did not give you any divisor, so what that means, you have to do trial and error to find the first factor. So what I do is I try the value 1. If 1 does not work, I try minus 1. If minus 1 doesn't work, I try positive 2, minus 2, and so on. So I always start with positive 1. So if we're going to start with x is equal to 1, what that means is x minus 1 is equal to 0. So that's how we got x is equal to 1. So f of 1 is equal to 4, 1 cubed minus 5 times 1 squared minus 7 times 1 plus 2. So that's 4 minus 5 minus 7 plus 2. That gives us minus 6. So because we get a number other than 0, that means x minus 1 is not a factor. So that means we have to try another value. So let's say I want to try minus 1. So that means x plus 1 is equal to 0. And that's how I'll get x equal minus 1. So f of minus 1 is equal to 4 minus 1 cubed minus 5 minus 1 squared minus 7 minus 1 plus 2. So minus 1 cubed, so that's minus 4 minus 5 plus 7 plus 2. Minus 4 minus 5 plus 7 plus 2, that will give you 0. So that means x plus 1 is a factor. So now that we found one factor, what we could do to find the other factors is trial and error again. But I would advise you to do the long division method. So because x plus 1 is a factor, we can use that to find the other factors. So what we'll do, if you watch the previous video on dividing polynomials, so it's x into 4x cubed, that gives us 4x squared. Then we have x times 4x squared, that gives us 4x cubed. And 1 times 4x squared, that gives us 4x squared. So minus 5x squared minus positive 4x squared, that gives you minus 9x squared. And you're carrying down the minus 7x. So now x into minus 9x squared, that's minus 9x. So now we have x times minus 9x, that gives us minus 9x squared. And 1 times minus 9x, that gives us minus 9x. And again, we're subtracting. So minus 9x squared minus 9x squared, that's 0. Minus 7x minus 9x, that gives us positive 2x. And again, we carry down the plus 2. So now it is x into 2x, that gives us positive 2. So it's x times 2x, that gives us 2x, plus 1 times 2, that's 2. And again, because it is a factor, your remainder here has to be 0. So the essential part of what we wanted was to get the quotient here. And factorize the quotient. So this is A, B, C. And we're doing the AC method, which is 4 times 2 give you 8. That means in order for us to get the B term, we could use minus 1 times minus 8. So we have 4x squared minus 8x minus 1x plus 2. So we factor the first two. So that's 4x, and we have x minus 2 minus 1 and x minus 2. So now that our brackets are the same thing, we have 4x minus 1 and x minus 2 from this aspect. But remember that x plus 1 was a factor. So the final answer would be x plus 1 times 4x minus 1 times x minus 2. And those would be your factors for the question here. So that's it for today, and I'll see you guys next time on the DAHKTUBE.